Hello, I'm Roz, and today I'm in the beautiful Richmond show home at Hendricks Green. On today's episode of the podcast, we're going to be tackling the subject of renovation. So as a nation, we are totally obsessed with our homes, and you only have to flick on the TV or scroll on Instagram, and you can see people transforming a house into their dream home. However, renovations aren't always quite as glamorous as they may seem. So on today's episode, we're going to be unearthing some of those realities, looking at the inspiration as to why people renovate and some of the differences with buying new. So to do that, I'm joined by two very special guests. First, we have Emily, property, lifestyle and fashion influencer, who's going to tell us about her buying journey as well as her new renovation project. And returning to the New Homes podcast, we have our very own James, and he's going to wade in on the debate all around renovations. So first up, Emily, obviously you have a fantastic platform all around fashion and lifestyle, which makes us incredibly jealous. But please, can you tell me why you've decided to move into the home sector with the Welcome Home platform?
Yeah, totally. So everything I've always done has been very true to myself and kind of what's going on in my life. Initially, it started with sharing fashion, beauty, and then it was kind of travel things and grew from there. And naturally, I moved out and bought a new property, and it just felt like something too exciting not to share. I have taken a property, it's completely stripped out, and we're creating my dream home from, I guess, the ground up, really. So along with that, Welcome Home was born, and we show people kind of renovations, my renovation, we follow others' renovations, and just also kind of what there is in the UK on the property market right now. So just those kind of little gems. I like to see it's kind of inspirational, aspirational content.
That makes perfect sense. So in terms of the show home tours, obviously we've been watching these, they look amazing, really looking forward to doing the Redrow ones.
Yes.
What do you enjoy most about doing those?
Oh, it's just such a treat because obviously I can look online, I can look at the floor plans, but you never really know how it's going to feel walking into a home, and they feel very different. That's one thing about Redrow that I love. It's a very random way to describe it, but they feel solid, if you know what I mean by that. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but it just feels, and they're such grand homes. And sometimes you walk into a new build and they don't feel like that, and maybe they're supposed to. So it's always a surprise, and yeah, I just love exploring them.
That's great. And in terms of that difference, I suppose that's something that our customers often will say, isn't it? That you kind of really do feel that kind of Redrow difference in terms of the higher ceilings and the kind of character features.
Absolutely. You know, we've got our heritage range, and it's inspired on the arts and crafts movement in the 1930s. So we see people who are looking for second-hand homes, and then they come across a Redrow home and go, oh, hang on, this is everything that I've been looking for in a second-hand home, but in a new build home. And with my Redrow as well, we do give that opportunity for people to personalise their new home.
And I guess that's a big thing about a renovation, isn't it? As you say, you're creating a dream space. You want it exactly how you kind of envisage it. And, you know, from all the hours and hours of scrolling on Pinterest. And I guess that's one of the things with my Redrow, that you can create that dream look and feel that's obviously very on trend, but also makes it very personal.
Exactly that. You could complete and utterly personalise your home to whatever extent and degree you like, whether it comes down to, you know, kitchen colour, like we are sat now in this blue kitchen, flooring, you know, walk-in wardrobes, for example. So there's endless opportunities there for you to personalise your home. And the great thing is it's ready for you the day that you move in.
And Emily, I know you used to live in a Redrow home.
Yes, I did.
So full circle for you here today.
Very much so.
A lot of nostalgia. But in terms of that kind of personalisation, is that something that you kind of took advantage of when you moved in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had an Oxford. It was just, oh my goodness, the most incredible home. And what a treat for a first home. Wow. Yeah, incredible. So I had this image in my head of what I wanted my kitchen to look like. I think in any home, the kitchen is the heart of the home. And I actually upgraded my work surfaces, which was just the best decision. I just, you know, when you have a vision, and I really wanted this kind of marble look worktop. It was really on trend at the time, and it was just perfect and like so seamless. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't get into my new home and have no work surfaces. It was all sorted, and it was exactly what I wanted.
I can tell this is absolute music to James' ears.
I had such a seamless experience.
Brilliant.
And my sister bought on the site as well, had a similar experience. I mean, maybe I've been spoiled, but it was, yeah, really, really good.
I think that interesting you're saying about your sister moving on site, because we've seen that a lot, haven't we, recently, where one member of the family will buy a home, they'll have an amazing dinner party, and then all of a sudden we've got all the relatives living in the same community.
We've seen people reassess where they live over the past couple of years, and people moving that a little bit further afield. A family will come along and look to purchase in one of our developments, and then whether it's mum and dad, whether it's sister, siblings, they'll come along, and in the end you've got this sort of community of families that are living on the same development. So yeah, we've seen an awful lot of that.
And James, it's obviously been a really busy period. It's a really buoyant market at the moment, isn't it? Has it been very busy over the last kind of 12 months for Redrow in terms of new buyers and people entering the market?
Yeah, I think, the homes and the new homes market for the past maybe 18 to 24 months since that sort of first lockdown finished back in the summer of 21, it's been crazy. So much of that has been about because there hasn't been a huge amount of homes coming to the market, particularly in the second-hand space. But the new homes market, it is only around about 11% of the overall sales market for homes in the UK. And like I mentioned, we do see lots and lots of people who maybe hadn't ever considered buying a new home when they come and see a Redrow home because of those great features we have, like, the great heritage range, the taller floor to ceiling heights. People go, well, hang on a second, this is great, and I'm going to buy a Redrow home rather than second-hand.
So I guess for us, it is very much that kind of competition around second-hand homes, the older kind of character properties. And that's also obviously part of our offering with Redrow and the kind of difference, I guess, with other new builds.
Absolutely. It's all about the character. They're completely inspired on the arts and crafts movement, from the 1930s. So from a street scene perspective, people look at our homes externally and go, that's what I want.
Yeah. And Emily, in terms of your renovation, is that kind of 1930s? You're saying about
So I've got a Victorian terrace, which you would assume high ceilings, but I think with a lot of older properties, they've had bits added on here and little things done here. And actually the back of my property, the ceilings are quite low, which going from a Redrow property where they're incredible. It was actually one of the downfalls of my house and something that I will absolutely be changing. I walked into my bathroom and I said to my architect, I was like, what can we do? This is the ceiling's here. So yeah, for me, having a home that feels, full of character is super, super important. And I'm trying to kind of bring those things back into the house that I've bought.
So in terms of inspiration, where do you take your inspiration from for your renovation project?
Oh my goodness, Pinterest. I spent hours on Pinterest.
As do we all, even if we're not renovating a home.
Absolutely. And also looking in kind of other properties in the area that are perhaps on the market, maybe at a slightly higher price point as like an aspirational point. I do that a lot. And also seeing all the show homes that we tour. Oh my goodness, I get so much inspiration from that.
Yeah, I bet. The show homes obviously look incredible, don't they? And I suppose this is a really great opportunity to showcase what you can do and the fact that you can personalise it to that degree, which really helps kind of bring it to life, I guess, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We're sat here in this fantastic kitchen. And
we're going to feel really rubbish about going home tonight.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely will.
Great. So moving on from kind of the interiors sort of sense and a bit more thinking with the head rather than the heart, the kind of sustainability and the energy prices that obviously we're hearing lots about in the media, presumably that's one of the big benefits between kind of the renovation and buying new debate.
Yeah, I think people are becoming more and more aware of what they're paying for their energy. And we're seeing those bills go up once the price cap comes into place post the 1st of April. There's been some big increases to people's bills. And we are now seeing with our sales team, customers having conversations about what's this going to cost me to run? And when we've done some research and we compare a new Redrow home versus, say, a 1960s or 70s equivalent, you're saving it's about 54% in terms of heat loss and energy efficiency.
Yeah,
so it's quite substantial.
Isn't it? Yeah, definitely. And I guess, as you say, something you kind of think about even more because of obviously all the kind of noise and obviously the price cap coming off. But yeah, is that something you've kind of thought about in terms of insulation and kind of building things into your house to make it more energy efficient?
Absolutely. I'm trying to do as much as I can. I have amazing people around me to advise me. My dad is so on it, kind of air source heat pumps, all things like that, doing as much research as we can. And a lot of the things, I mean, just sustainability in general, I'm trying to buy a lot secondhand. I'm sourcing a lot of bricks, and my appliances were all secondhand. So just
That's
doing
really cool.
as much as I can. And also, I love that. I love that my appliances have been in somebody else's home. I think it really makes the home feel more full, if that makes any sense.
No, definitely. And, when you're spending so much money on obviously redoing the house and all the rest of it, you obviously want to look to see where you can make those savings, isn't it?
Absolutely, because I think, like I said, my first experience with buying a property was so straightforward. You know what you're getting, and there's no hidden costs. That I've had to be really careful this time to make sure I'm budgeting and doing those things to save me the money.
Yeah. So what are your top tips? How do we kind of go about if we are looking to be savvy with some of the bits we're putting in?
Oh, there's so many things that you can do. There's so many kind of websites online where you can find, like I said, secondhand appliances, fridges, freezers, the range. You can get, like, my bricks are all secondhand. You can even get secondhand tiles and flooring that potentially has been in a show home or something like that, and someone's moved in and wanted to change things. I think it all comes down to research. That's what it comes down to. Spend your time kind of on the internet, doing as much research as you can, and you will find some gems.
Great. And I guess it's very similar in terms of new homes. Doing that research has got to be everyone's kind of starting point, hasn't it? To really understand what you're buying, what you want from a home, and making it kind of work for you, I guess.
Absolutely. And you see our show homes here, and I think you can do as much research as you can online, but we always encourage people, come and visit us, come and see us, come and check out the show homes, come and see our homes, walk around them, experience them, because that's when they really, really come to life for customers.
That's great. And touching on another area which is a bit of a pain point, again, lots of it in the media at the moment in terms of material and kind of labour shortages. Is this something you've faced in terms of your project so far?
Yeah, so where I'm at with my project, the house has been completely stripped out and the builders are starting in the next few weeks. I haven't even started the actual build, and already I'm getting, well, we can't get that for 3 months, or we can't get that for 6 months, or the price of timber has tripled, or, these crazy things that I
don't even think about, do you?
No, I don't think I have to think about that. So even things like my kitchen, I went for my kitchen design meeting, and they're like, yeah, with materials, you're probably 6 months lead time. And I just didn't expect it. I think maybe that's a little bit naive of me, although I'm now able to plan everything else. Now I understand that that's a thing, but yeah, definitely getting materials has been a problem and not something I expected to encounter.
I guess as well, it's not like you can carry on with the build. Like, it is very much a phased approach.
And it's on me. It's not like with my first home, it's like I knew someone was figuring that out for me. That falls onto me.
Yeah, and James, that falls onto us.
Absolutely, it does. And we've the experience you've had in terms of materials and labour. We have experienced that as well, and we're procuring on a far greater scale. However, what I would say is that we've got some great procurement teams and teams on the ground here who can work really hard to mitigate that as much as possible for our customers. But yeah, it's a fact of life. We know it's out there. We know it's happening. And I know you talk about the pain and the experiences you've had trying to come over some of those problems. Yeah, exactly like that. What I said, for our customers, we've got the expertise to cope with that and deal with that.
Yeah. So stay away from all the drama of timber and timber prices. So Emily, you're saying in terms of kind of project management, it is all on you. Are you kind of running the show yourself? Have you got someone else involved, or?
Yeah, so as I said, I've got amazing people around me advising me, and I'm really trying to learn as much as possible from this process, because I would like to do it again in the future. Maybe not my house to live in, because oh my goodness, it's intense, but potentially some fun projects, and I would like to know what I'm doing. So at the moment, yes, it's all on me, but I've got amazing support around me, which has been a real learning curve.
And is there any parts of the house where you've said this is an absolute must-have, this is how I want it, and kind of have that vision?
Yes, I've been really lucky to live in a lot of different properties since, I moved out at 17, and I think since then I've lived in 6 different properties.
Wow.
Yeah, and definitely I've taken a lot of inspiration from those. And just like the character pieces, especially from my Redrow home, kind of the skirting board things, it's like a little, it's chunkier. Yeah. It's got that feeling, and that's something that I'm definitely recreating. But for me, the best part of my house is my kitchen. I spend all my time in the kitchen, so I'm trying to put as much into that as possible. Pantry units, my dream range, my dream fridge, that's what I'm really focusing on.
Yeah, I think from my experience of kind of renovations, seeing family and friends do it, I think the kitchen's always the area that people seem to focus on.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that sort of long, elongated space where they can dine, spend time with friends and all the rest of it. And often with some of the older houses, the kitchens are quite small because that's how we used to live. And I guess that's how houses have kind of evolved and changed over time. And I guess that's how our house has sort of evolved and changed as well, isn't it, James?
Well, yeah, look, we're sat here now in the Richmond and the kitchen is the central focal point of the entire house.
Pretty much do a 100-metre sprint, I think.
Well, you've got, a nice family sitting area to one side, you've got a formal dining area to the other. And so it is just the heart of the home. So everything we do is around, creating those fantastic spaces for our customers to really enjoy them.
Definitely. And then just touching back in terms of kind of other pain points, I know we sort of touched on the material shortages. Is there anything else that you've kind of experienced so far that you think would be good advice for someone potentially considering a renovation option?
Yeah, I would say manage your time well. I'm sure you probably have in your mind how long you think it's going to take. Double it. Yeah. Time scales, it never goes to plan. And just ask as many questions as possible. I think that's my downfall at the start. I didn't ask, and I would stand in a meeting, I wouldn't understand, and I'd go home, my dad would ask me, and I'd be like, I'm not sure. So
we've all been there, haven't we?
I record it on my phone now. I stand there with my builder and my architect, and I nod, I go, yes, we'll follow up later, and I go, Dad, this is what he said. So yeah, I think taking notes of things and just being as organised as possible, because it's a lot of kind of different people. Whereas when I bought my first home, I only have that to compare. I bought that home and then now this one. I would just ring Cindy in the sales office and say, how's it going? So it's very different.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And in terms of buying new, what should we be thinking about, James, if people are kind of umming and ahhing between the two?
Yeah, it's a big decision for people. I think, like you mentioned, your budget can float. If you're going to be doing a renovation in a second-hand home, the great benefit of obviously buying from Redrow in a new build home is what those costs are going to be and what's associated with it. We have our My Redrow system to allow you to personalise your home. Those costs are fixed. They're in there for you. They're all transparent. That's what you're going to pay and that's what you're going to get the day you move in. So, yeah, the budget item is a really good thing to consider.
So with the My Redrow, just touching on that, in terms of when you kind of decide, are you then having to then fit that or procure someone to, supply that? How does that work?
So the My Redrow system, it's just an online tool for you to complete and utterly personalise your home how you see fit. So what you can do is add everything into your basket, and then from the day you move in, everything you selected, it's all installed there, ready and waiting for you. So you haven't got to then go off and find trades and find materials and that associated time and shoe leather costs. They're all gone. They're all dealt with by Redrow. So a great big benefit, really.
And how is that kind of selection created? Like, who decides what's the next kitchen worktop going to look like? What extras you're going to be putting on the floor and all that kind of stuff?
We've got some fantastic relationships with some really big suppliers who you see, operate some nationally and globally. At the same time, we've got an interior design team. And so all of our homes are designed specifically by that team, exactly in a bespoke sense for our homes. So there's an awful lot of thought that goes into designing. And so it's not just some random product bought off the shelf.
And Emily, what's the next step for you in terms of Welcome Home and your new platform?
So we recently just launched a Snapchat show, which is very exciting. So you can find us across all socials now. And we're just wanting to find those gems that you wouldn't necessarily know exist. We love showing kind of, like I said, what you can get maybe for first-time buyers and things like that. But yeah, next we're going to go for some more obscure properties, sharing them, and we're moving into a lot more interiors, which is very exciting.
So I think Alicia from our interior design team is also going to be on your podcast,
Absolutely.
Which is very exciting. So obviously that will be a lot more focused on the kind of interior design aspect. But I think it's been a really good debate and really interesting. I haven't had to play referee too much.
I feel like you're changing my mind now. Like, why did I just get another bedroom?
We promise this wasn't the intention of bringing you onto the show. But no, thank you so much for your time, guys. It's been super interesting. And thank you so much for listening. On our next episodes, we're going to be focused on the history of the home as well as how to build a community. But if you can't wait for that, please check out our social channels and where you can find lots of interesting competitions. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.